Good morning, everyone. It's Chuck Ann Baker and another edition of the Veterans Reporter News. We've got three newsworthy segments for you this morning. We're going to start out with the interview we did with the Congressional candidate for the newly formed District 4 in southern Nevada, Jerry Tarkanian, who is running for that spot. We did an interview with him over at KLAV Radio, kind of our sister station, and we're going to bring you most of that interview here in just a few minutes. And then a little bit later, we're going to bring you a few minutes of a video produced by the Caterpillar Company about mining. Now, you know, mining all of a sudden, big news again. The price of gold and silver has been going through the roof. Mining is a big deal up in northern Nevada. There's even a TV show starting soon called Gold Rush, a reality show. Well, Caterpillar put together a video a couple years ago about the mining industry. A lot of veterans coming home from the war, and maybe they want to get into mining. This will give them just a little taste of what's going on. And then we're going to end up with a government video of some basic training, Army training over at Fort Leonard Wood. It's going to show you some maneuver training, and then they're going to show you a little bit of what happens when these troops go through the gas chamber. It's part of basic training. You got to go through like a tear gas chamber. When they come out of there, it's pretty wild. So we're going to start out with all that, but first let's take a little break and we'll be right back. Hello again, it's Chuck Ann Baker, and let's take you right to KLAV for an interview that we did recently. Barry McGuire, was that his last name? Barry McGuire, Eve of Destruction. Before that we had Eddie Cochran with Summertime Blues. And as we, Danny sitting here with me, and Danny, as we announced earlier, we played Summertime Blues because there's a line in there where the singer says, I spoke to my congressman, but he said, quote, I'd like to help you, son, but you're too young to vote.
Yes.
And then we had Eve of Destruction, which had a little political theme to it as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're glad you're here, and you're running for the new District 4,
Yes.
Congressional District 4, which is northern Clark County and some parts of some rural counties.
Yes.
What did you think of the way they carved that up? Were you happy with the way they came up with that district?
Well, I mean, I would prefer it was a little bit more evenly split between Republicans and Democrats, but I don't think it was terribly bad for myself, at least, because I've had a lot of experiences and relationships and spent a lot of time in the rural part of the state that makes up this district, and I felt that would play very well for me. I have my son and daughter here today, and they're going to be a little loud outside, so I apologize.
Yeah, we can hear them in the background there.
But
yeah.
you know, I think the district is fine, considering the state leans more Democrats. You figure it's going to have a Democrat advantage on the registration, so that's fine.
Okay. Now, you know, I want to start out a little slow here for our listeners who don't know a lot about you. Tell us a little bit about where you were raised, what college did you attend, and things like that.
I was raised here in southern Nevada. I moved here when I was 11. My dad got the head coaching job here at UNLV and brought all four of us children. In fact, when we first moved here, we spent the first month in Circus. For an 11-year-old, that was quite an experience.
I bet,
we had a great time. Went to high school here at Gorman High School, and then went on. And I went to Dixie Junior College my first year, came back to UNLV and went to college there the last 3 years. Played basketball for my father there, graduated in 1984, then went to law school, graduated from University of San Diego School of Law in 1988. Came back to Las Vegas. I practiced law for 7 years, and then I went off and coached basketball with my father at his last coaching stop, which was at Fresno. We were there until 2002. Came back to Las Vegas and started a sports facility. Actually, it's a nonprofit sports academy that grew into a sports facility, which is right off Sahara and Rancho Road. It's called the Tarkanian Basketball Academy. And I also have a real estate development company where we built a commercial center here in the southwest part of town next to the new San Martin Hospital.
Oh, very good, very good. And is that all rented out and got tenants in there? Or?
Well, we have some tenants. I wish it was all rented out. We actually finished in 2007. And for you that follow the real estate market, you know that was not the best time to just finish.
Right.
But we're about 88% leased on the office building, and we're 100% leased on the two retail buildings. The rents are quite a bit lower than we were hoping, but we're making go with it right now. We're very fortunate considering the environment.
Okay. So, you know, you've run for office in the past. unfortunately, you haven't been successful, and now you're running again. What made you feel that you even wanted to enter the political arena?
I've always wanted to get into public service. I really believe deep in my heart that if you go into public service with the right intent and the right reasons, the right heart, that you can do some really wonderful things for your community, your state, your country, and have a good feeling about what you've accomplished in your life when it's over and done. And I was influenced this way by two prominent public servants. First was Senator Laxalt here from Nevada, and then Governor Duke Majan out of California. Who, to me, those were the epitome of what a public servant is. They weren't people that were taking cheap shots at their opponents or their adversaries. They always talked with dignity. They always, what I believe, did what they felt was best for their constituents, and I had a lot of respect for them. And my mother got in public service right after I got out of law school, and she's been on the school board for 12 years and now on the city council, and I really respect the things that she's done and accomplished and admire what she's been able to do.
That's, of course, the Las Vegas City Council.
Yes.
And speaking of Governor Duke Majan in California, and of course Governor Brown he's the governor there now, and this is his second time around, which is quite unusual. Do you know him at all? Did you work with him at all?
No, I don't. I don't know him.
Okay.
I just know who he is from what you read in the paper, not personally.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, let's move into that real estate situation. It's no secret that you were involved with this other real estate transaction, and there was a recent judgment against you for a large amount of money, and your opponent has been bringing that up, and I think some of the press has brought it up. How are you planning to handle that if you're elected, and kind of put you in an awkward situation of being in Congress and being involved in a lawsuit with the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and things of that nature?
Yes, that sounds like something my opponent would say. He's got more ethical issues than probably anybody who's run for office. It's unfortunate he would try to take a very disappointing situation that happened for my family and I, where we were defrauded by an individual and want to use that for a political gain, but he's desperate right now, so that's what he's trying to do. I think it's important, if you want to mention the real estate transaction, we talk about what happened. I've been very open and transparent about it. My family and I were part of 11 people that owned a piece of property in South Las Vegas Boulevard. One of our partners worked for a developer in Southern California, and this developer had said, hey, I know a bank I'm real close with, I can get them to lend you the money, and you lend it to me and I'll develop this property in Southern California. For 2 years, we declined to do so, and that partner of ours kept saying how great the development was going, and he'd invested in himself, and finally, after 2 years, we agreed to do so on July 23rd. Now, in August of 2007, on August 1st, 8 days later, the developer defaults on his loan to us, and then he stops all construction on the property. The development doesn't use any of our money for the development of the property, which is what we lent him the money for, and then he files bankruptcy. Sometime thereafter, we find out that part of the money we lent to the developer he used to pay back the bank for a loan he was defaulting on instead of using it to develop the property. We believe there was a clear case of fraud. In fact, the lower court gave us an injunction to stop the bank from foreclosing on our property. And then the FDIC comes in and closes the bank down, making some of the same allegations we're making. So we think, hey, there they go. They agree with us. But no, the FDIC says they're going to come after us personally. And if you can believe this, there's a federal statute that says you can't use fraud as a defense against the FDIC. Unless it's specifically written in the loan documents, and anybody who understands how fraud works knows you don't write the fraudulent acts of the loan documents, you do those outside. So basically, we believe that decision that the lower court held upholding that statute was wrong, and we have it on appeal with the Ninth Circuit Court. Our attorney is very confident that we're going to win that case, and we believe we will also. It's been going on for almost 4 years. I've lived through it this long, and we'll continue to live through it. It obviously is something that is in the back of our minds, but we're not going to let it destroy everything else we're doing with our lives. I mean, my whole family and I.
Okay. It's pretty complicated, but yeah, I understand what's going on there, and we'll keep our eye on that. What about, let's move into the Social Security and Medicare. I guess there's some committee that endorsed your opponent on that, and your opponent says some claims here that you would privatize Social Security, and that you ran on a plan to do so some time back, and that you feel you can people can maybe save more money on their own rather than putting into a Social Security fund. Is that a true statement, or is that incorrect?
Virtually everything my opponent says is incorrect.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to sit here and quote everything he says, it'll be just like the debates I've had with them. I'll have to say, no, again, you're wrong. I'm sorry, we disagree.
Okay.
What I said first of all about Social Security is this. I believe that individuals at a younger age should have the opportunity, whether if they want to invest their money themselves, in a private account, that they can do so, and the people that want to stay in Social Security can stay in Social Security, but you should have the option to do so. I, for one, would like to be able to invest my money myself. I believe I can do a better job than the federal government can do. And over the years, if you look through the history of the how much the federal government has earned off their Social Security money, it's a lot less than what you could earn even with low response.
Well,
So,
I have to say it's a little, but I mean, it is a little ironic. You say you feel you could do a better job. And then here we just got through talking about this situation where your investment didn't go well. So,
but see, the difference is I can handle the ramifications of what happens, and that's part of when you make a deal. If it goes bad, you got to take the consequences to go with them. But we have the right to fulfill our legal abilities to do so. So before you pass judgment, we should see what happens with the court case.
Okay.
Before you want to sit here and pass judgment like we've already lost the case. We don't think we have. In fact, the lower court felt that we had a very good case against the bank when it happened, and if it wasn't for that statute, we'd probably win. So let's let that play out before you say that.
Well, again, I'm not debating you. I'm just stating the facts and stating what's been the press and stating what people are saying, and I'm asking for your reaction. Any of these comments I make are not made by me; they're made by others, and I'm just asking you what your reaction is.
If you want to make comments by an opponent that's losing in the race in every single poll that's come out, in a race that most people felt he should win, who's shown that he's lied on virtually every position he said about me. And if you want to make those comments and give any face value to them, then sure, you can do that.
Okay.
But I thought we were going to sit here and talk about the positions that I stand for, not what my opponent
I'm
says.
asking you your position on these things. I'm not making the statements. I'm just asking you for your positions. But, I didn't even give out our phone number, and apparently we do have a caller, so we need to put our headsets on and see... Yeah, well, and of course, this is the Veteran Show, and I think what she's saying is you may be aware that one of probably the largest problem the VA has is that there are so many backlogs in the claims. More and more veterans coming out of the service, and there's still old claims from Vietnam they're still working on, and now they got all these new claims. And I guess she's concerned her son's in the service, and what's happening. Do you have any plans to work with the VA?
Well, absolutely. I feel one of the major failings of our country has been the way we treated our veterans after they finished the war and have come back to the country. No one has sacrificed more to protect the freedoms and liberties of our country than people that put their lives on the line to defend it. And it's unfortunate that we aren't doing everything we can first when they are in the war battle, that we provide them with all the resources necessary to not only win, but to protect themselves and defend their livelihood. But when they come back home, we need to be able to take care of them. It should be a priority for us, a much higher priority than some of these other things that we're seeing that we're spending money on. I mean, you can go through the list of PERC projects, $18 billion a year that we spend on projects that benefit certain special interest groups and states and so forth, and we give that to those special interest groups as opposed to providing those resources to veterans who put their lives on the line to protect our country, and it's unfortunate. I look forward to going back to Washington, D.C. and being a very strong advocate for all veterans issues and provide them with the resources they feel is necessary to get all of their claims resolved and all the health care that they need, and also any job training to get them fully employed back in the private sector. So I'll be a very strong advocate for veteran issues. I feel very strongly about and very grateful for what all the veterans have done for my family and I and the rest of America.
Okay, Dolores, thanks very much for the call. Well, on a more general topic, I've got some things that affect the Congress and affect the country. John Stossel, who's a reporter for Fox Business Network, he reports that in the U.S. we've locked up more individuals year after year, and our prison population has tripled over the years. We lock up 730 people out of every 10,000 in the U.S., yet Congress and local municipalities continue to pass more and more laws and come up with longer jail terms. And the Congressional Research Center is quoted as saying they can't even count the number of crimes on the books. If you're in Congress, do you have any thoughts on the legal system and passing laws and long jail sentences and things of that nature? Have you given thought to that?
That's not one of the top issues that people are talking about right now, so we haven't done a lot of research on it, but I can tell you my general beliefs with respect to that. And I've always been a big believer that we should have a simplified, whether it's a tax code or a criminal code or whatever else, so people understand what they can and can't do and what's illegal and what's not illegal. But I do believe if you commit crimes, there has to be a strong punishment for it, so there's a deterrence in it. I don't think you should lessen the sentence for people that commit violent and hideous crimes just because the population in the prisons are getting too crowded. We need to do a better job within our society to get our country moving forward without having to and solve some of the problems that we have with the crime. I think that if we get people jobs and we get them working and they're fulfilling getting a paycheck and fulfilling their family responsibilities of paying for their home and providing for the kids, you're going to see a lot more people feeling better about their lives, and you're going to see less crime.
Okay. Chuck and Baker back with Veterans Reporter News. We're going to bring you a little informative tape produced by the Caterpillar Company about what's going on in the mining industry.
There you are again in front of the television. With it, you can be anywhere in the world. Deep in its oceans, even out in space. You can make music, take a fast break, and even learn something.
Sometimes we take the products of planet Earth for granted. Everyone uses them, but most can't tell you what these products are made of, how they were made, or where they came from. Toothpaste, cosmetics, appliances, and the electricity that runs them, even the clothes we wear, are mineral products. Imagine a day when you wake up and one by one, all of the mineral products in your life just disappear. There wouldn't be much to see.
And there wouldn't be TV. It takes 35 different minerals and elements just to make the set. So the next time there's nothing on the tube, remember what's inside it and where it came from.
Virtually any product or machine we can conceive, invent, or use comes from combinations of the many minerals found below the Earth's surface. These minerals are our natural resources, existing in limited supply on and under the surface of our planet. And now we are realizing more and more that these natural resources and the environment around them must be protected and conserved, just like the air that we breathe, the water that all life depends upon, and the land that feeds the world's creatures.
Well, Barney, are you ready to go to work? Good boy. Here we go. I grew up in Colorado Springs and was fortunate enough to have a family where during the summer weekends and fall weekends we would go to a number of old Colorado historic mining towns. And I think I got gold fever when I was about 11 years old. And often through high school would write reports on gold mining and even through college. I think with the population increasing the way it is, all of us have to learn to be recyclers. We have to compromise our use with some things. Remember, miners are only responding to markets. We're only responding to a public that was wanting automobiles with zinc bumpers. They were mining lead so we could have batteries to start our cars. We were mining iron ore so we could build automobiles and buildings. And so miners are only responding to a market.
No matter who you are or where you came from, billions of us are consumers of the Earth's precious minerals. Almost everything we use each day is made up of combinations of different minerals and elements. Skateboards, sidewalks, roads, and cars. Even something as simple and ordinary as brushing our teeth. We wouldn't have toothpaste without first mining the minerals barite, calcite, fluorspar, quartz, and sodium carbonate.
Hello again, it's Chuck and Baker with the Veterans Reporter News. We're going to bring you some video that the government supplied us with. They shot some basic training down at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri. I got to tell you, I spent some time there, not during basic, but I did some other training there. A pretty desolate spot in the middle of Missouri. And it's kind of an interesting video, though, so let's watch that.
Loyalty. Duty. Respect. Selfless service. Honor. Integrity. Personal courage. During basic training, the 7 Army values are instilled into each soldier. These values are the cornerstone of the Army's commitment to continue the legacy which has made it the greatest Army in the world.
Let go of him and you walk. Walk. Now go. You go back into it. You go back in again. Walk. Let go. Let go now. Now let's go. The only way you're going to get there is go ahead. Hey, don't scratch nothing. Don't rub nothing.
Hey, we're running! We're day running! Hey, you know what he's saying? What are you saying? I think you're going to get it. You better wave your arm. You better sound off.
Lead the way. Let's go.
back in there. Let's go. No, don't just start.
Keep going. Can't believe it outside the wall.
Chuck and Baker, back with you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week, and have a great weekend. Hey everybody, when you're listening to the radio, make sure you're listening to the Veterans Reporter radio show every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m. on KLAV. That's 1230 on the AM dial. It's the Veterans Reporter radio show with me, Chuck and Baker.